that has been in government for the last 10 years on a clear majority. Number one. Number two, there is an experiment, and let's look at it as political analysts for a minute, not in a partisan way. There is an experiment that we need to look at how it has worked, which is, let's say, Karnataka, where the BJP in the assembly lost marginally its percentage of vote, less than 1%. But then the other side, the numbers stacked up against the BJP and they got a clear sweep in the assembly. Now, that model having been seen, it raises a question which, Rajdeep, you've also used that word several times in our debates, is that and ultimately an election is a mathematics as also a chemistry. So now this fine challenge between the mathematics of a number that you build up in a pre-poll or a post-pre-poll alliance primarily versus the chemistry with the voter and how this alliance of numbers is translating in terms of a vote share onto the ground is a post-poll factor. You can only analyze it afterwards. Now, my reading at the moment, and I'm sticking my neck out to say so, is there won't be a national trend for you to have a figure like this to say that the numbers stacked up well but you lost there, or the numbers did not stack up well and you won. I think it will be a state-by-state thing, which is what I think is the strength of Indian democracy.
I take your point, Nalin. In fact, the real story of this election is how it is turning to be state by state. I think, Rahul, since the last 15 years, we've been so used to landslide victories, we forgot there used to be an age where India used to fight elections state by state. So if you go state by state, you look at a Haryana, for example, it is showing very different trends where the Congress is leading in 7, NDA in 3 in a state which was 10-0 last time. And then you travel to a Madhya Pradesh where, Rahul, you have the BJP still holding its own. The BJP is leading in 29-0 in India. Think about it, 29-0. Then, very interestingly, Rahul, just the neighboring Rajasthan to Madhya Pradesh, where again there were elections just 6 months ago. Take a look at Rajasthan. And in Rajasthan, 13-11, 13 to NDA, India 11, tight fight. Congress has to ask itself, the Congress has lost out in a Madhya Pradesh and a Gujarat. Gujarat, inevitably, Prime Minister's home state, Home Minister's home state. But in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, if you can fight back in Rajasthan, you gave up in Madhya Pradesh.
If these are the numbers, then the Congress could have done much better. It came to the party too late. If, despite of the opposition, these are the numbers that the opposition is getting, then they could have done better.
I want to show Nalin Kohli.
They could have done better.
I want to show Nalin Kohli the level of anti-incumbency. Now, this comes out. Remember, all the insights that you're seeing on India today are backed by data, hardcore thorough. This is not just random opinion, pontification and punditry, hardcore data. At this moment, of the 303 seats that the BJP had won last time, the BJP is retaining only 68%. They're losing 32% of the seats that they held. Nalin Kohli, this would raise questions about the level of anti-incumbency. You're winning only 7 of the 10 seats you held in the last election, reflecting the level of anti-incumbency against your MPs and against the party on these seats.
So I think, Rahul, 3 comments here. The first being that our strike rate, and this is something, if I recall, I picked it up perhaps from your channel or it's perhaps on another channel, is that it's interesting to see the strike rate of the BJP through 2014 and 19. The strike rate was 60 to 65%. The number of seats we contested, 60 to 65%. So when you tell me 68% of the existing 303 seats we are losing, I actually disagree. It's in the zone of the strike rate of the BJP, because ultimately the strike rate is how much is your convertibility with the old candidate or with the new candidate in terms of the winnability of the seat. So the strike rate of the 60 to 70% seems to be holding on. The second figure was...
Sir, can I just... can I give... because we have the specific for the strike rate as well. Nalin Kohli, bear with me. Sir, bear with me for a minute. Sure. I'll show you the strike rate. This is the NDA strike rate. The NDA strike rate at this moment is only 54. The India Alliance strike rate is 41. The NDA is leading on 291 of 543. Your strike rate in comparison to past elections is substantially down.
So, Rahul, I think how I would go is there are 2 separate strike rates that we need to consider at the end of the election, which means later in the day or tomorrow. The first is the BJP versus the Congress strike rates. Because the Congress current strike rate is, if I recall, less than 10%. Its strike rate is about 60 to 65 or 68%, 60 to 70%, plus or minus 2%, 3%. The second is NDA versus the India Alliance, or the India Alliance as I call it. The India Alliance or NDA Alliance strike rate has to be seen separately. Mixing both will give an incorrect analysis.
I want to go phase by phase. For the first time, let's break this election into 7 phases, take you through how the parties and the formations have done. In phase 1, the India Alliance is leading on 59, the NDA only on 36. So India Alliance got off to a smashing start in phase 1, up 11 seats. Let's now go to phase 2. I'm putting out the phase-wise analysis for the first time in phase 2. The NDA took the lead, 49 leads, but 12 down from the last time. India Alliance in phase 2 at 38, up 15. Let's now come to phase 3. In phase 3, let's take a look at phase 3. 64 leads for the NDA, down 13 from the last time. 27 for the India Alliance, up 15 from the last time. Let's now come to phase 4. So NDA in the seats that we've seen across the phases, losing ground. In phase 4, they started doing well. NDA 59, up 11 in phase 4. India Alliance 30, up 18. So phase 4 was the first phase where the NDA actually gained momentum. Let's look at phase 5. In phase 5, the NDA was at 30, down 8 from the last time. India Alliance at 15, up 7 from the last time. Let's now come to phase 6. I want to show you what happened in the penultimate phase. In phase 6, there were 58 seats. NDA at 32, down 12. India Alliance at 25, up 20. Let's now come to the last phase. Phase 7. Phase 7, the one that happened on the 1st of June, 57 seats there. India Alliance at 30, up 11. 22 for the NDA, down 8. Rajdeep, what that suggests is, except for one phase, which was phase 4, the NDA seems to have lost ground in every phase in this election.
And what it showed is what a number of us had sensed or had said after the first 2 rounds, that after that low voter turnout, that the NDA obviously got nervous. If you see, there was a feeling that they changed the narrative. You went into politics which was seen to be more polarized. Every time you asked them, they said, no, this is strategy. I think those first 2 rounds where turnout actually went against them, and a 7-phase poll. It's a strange thing. The longer the election went, it actually gave the opposition that came late to the party a chance to set the narrative.
True.
And the BJP was forced to respond. So you're actually seeing a fascinating election being, many thought a 7-phase election will fatigue out the opposition. What it actually did possibly is the reverse. It gave the opposition something to build on after the first 2 rounds. Yes, Shankar.
So it shows 2 things. That the Prime Minister and Amit Shah read the ground much better than anybody else when they changed the language and the rhetoric in the campaign in the next phases. The other thing that it shows is that they ended up responding to the narrative that was being set by the opposition instead of leading the narrative which was there till the beginning of the election. And that, I think, has sort of gathered momentum over the next few phases. Now, when you look at the numbers just now, it doesn't look anywhere near 400. It doesn't look anywhere...
No, 400 is, I think we should forget. 400 is over. Now it's a question, can I go 300 par?
Even the let's settle for 370 or let's settle for 350 looks like dicey.
No, because I think the other number which is going to become crucial now is 272.
Absolutely.
Because you see the BJP getting, Rajat, if the BJP doesn't get, by some chance, we don't know still the final number, doesn't get 272, does it change any of the equations? Does it make, for example, a Chandrababu Naidu a potential kingmaker to decide, look, I'll support you, but I have 1 or 2, 3 conditions? Does it weaken the Prime Minister's position?
So I think now every alliance partner would want to extract their pound of flesh, which they had been waiting for past decade or so, if the results hold. Also, if BJP gets lesser than 272, then even Prime Minister's reform agenda will see lesser elbow room.
You're going too far. Rajdeep, in the classical political science, in Westminster, model of parliamentary democracy, if an incumbent government, a single party, single majority government fails to get a clear majority, then the incumbent doesn't become a prime minister.
Come on, where? The fact is they've gone in a pre-poll alliance. They've gone here in a pre-poll
was a
alliance
single
under the
party-
leadership of Prime Minister Modi.
There was single party majority. There was single party majority.
No, see, it may.
Twice.
No. On moral grounds, you may well say you don't have the same moral
Politics is
power.
all about.
No, but the
Politics
fact
is all about ethics and morality.
No. The fact is, legally, I've gone in a pre-poll alliance.
Look at
I will
Rajiv
be
Gandhi in
invited.
1989.
Come on.
Look at Rajiv Gandhi in 89. 193 seats. He sat in
No, there's a
opposition.
difference between 193 and if I end up with 250. If I end up with 250 in a pre-poll alliance and my allies have 30, 40,
I'm not talking about NDA not forming the government. I'm talking about Office of Prime Minister.
Why? How does that change? The election was fought under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi.
Kohli
No,
that question.
Rashid,
Mr. Kohli, if
ek
the
minute.
BJP doesn't get 272, the question in the studio is, does it then at some level undermine the halo of the Prime Minister? If it had been 340, 350, 320, it would have been different. If it's not 272, does that then mean it's a weaker government than it would have been? Let Nalin Kohli respond to that.
So Rahul, thank you for that, letting me in at the moment. I heard the entire discussion. Very nice to see some of my colleagues. Shankar, nice to see you on TV after a long time. We are on the panel after a very long time. I just wanted to respond to Rashid Bhai. So Rashid Bhai, I'm a student of history and you also write biographies and follow the Congress party as a sort of keeping a history of it. I find your selective approach to this discussion which you just put interesting, and I'll now go to wear my history hat. I think you would do well to perhaps go back to the K.R. Narayanan formula, which talked of the pre-poll alliance being the way in which the government will be invited to this. The post-poll versus pre-poll was the K.R. Narayanan formula, which came in at that time, ostensibly to keep the BJP out. But then, therefore, you can't go to the 1989 Rajiv Gandhi formula, which is far before that. So what is the dominant thing today in Indian politics for the longest period now is who is a pre-poll alliance, and I'm sorry to put it as bluntly as this, there is only one pre-poll alliance in the country, that is the BJP NDA. On the other side, there is the concept of an alliance which does not exist as a national alliance. They are leaders meeting over a cup of tea as they are entitled to, enjoying samosas as they are entitled to, fighting against each other which they are entitled to in state after state. So there is only one pre-poll alliance, and therefore the NDA will be in any circumstance the one to stake that claim. There is no question of the NDA, BJP not staking the claim.
You know, if you look at the party-wise vote share, there's a very interesting trend there. The BJP's vote share has in fact gone up in the votes that have been counted so far from 37 to 40.7. That's almost a 4% increase in vote share. That's very substantial. The Congress's vote share also, which had crashed to 19, is at 27% from the votes that have been counted. Both these are substantial. What this shows is that it's becoming more bipolar with the Congress and the BJP being in contest at the national level. That's one of the trends that are emerging. The Congress's vote share up at least 7%, maybe even 8% by the end of it. The BJP's vote share also up 4%. But there were lots of people who are messaging and saying, we were planning to go to office this morning. Now it's so exciting. We're staying back and watching the election results on India Today intelligence dashboard. It's making it really exciting. At this moment, now the seats have come down.